Hello everybody, it's Geekosaurus Mike, and I am here today to talk to you a little bit about what I think of the show Gotham. Now, I know it's been a little while since the show came out, and then on Twitter I promised that I would have a vlog out on Tuesday. Didn't quite happen. Tuesday's normally a day I have a lot of time for my own projects. The weekly I work for goes to print that day, so I don't go in. But this last Tuesday just got really busy out of nowhere, so we're a little delayed. But Gotham, I have mixed feelings about. And I suppose I'll start off with what I liked about it. For those of you who don't know, which given the really extensive campaign, or advertising campaign that Fox has been doing, I can't imagine that's many of you. But Gotham is about Jim Gordon and the Gotham PD before Batman comes about. The show starts with Jim Gordon coming into Gotham. He's assigned to Harvey Bullock as his partner, and their first major case is the murder of Thomas and Martha Wayne. So Batman is still a young child, and it's basically, Jim Gordon's trying to clean up Gotham, and he's trying to do it from within the system, because that's kind of the difference between Gordon and Batman, is that Batman sees the corruption of Gotham and goes, I can't work within that system, it's too far gone. Gordon tries to work within it. Some things I like, I like the character Jim Gordon as he's portrayed, for the most part. I'll get into one or two problems later, but I like him, though he kind of looks like discount Joseph Gordon-Levitt. That's no offense to the actor, that's just the first thing I think was like, oh, it's the Costco Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And the guy who plays Harvey Bullock, whose name I don't remember, my first thought was, oh, it's the discount Big Lebowski. But that's just me. Maybe it's because, like, R.I.P.D. sort of led me to think of that sort of, like, old grizzled guy, younger guy dynamic. That's not to say either of them are really bad. It's just the first thing I thought of. But the Gordon character he's pretty good. He's kind of easy to predict what he's going to do because he is the Boy Scout, but that's kind of his point. That's what he brings to Gotham, is that he really does want to clean it up, and that's something that that Gotham PD, isn't too into, because they're all in the grip of Carmine Falcone. Another subplot that seems to be going on in this is that Carmine Falcone is getting older, and that's attracting a lot of attention of other gangsters, and it's sort of a situation where Falcone's bad, but he's also keeping everything in control. And if he were to be gone, or people were to stop respecting him, then chaos would just break loose. So it's not a good order, but it is order. Jim Gordon doesn't accept that. Most of Gotham PD accepts that. Jim Gordon does not. So there's the murder of Thomas and Martha Wayne, and Gordon and Bruce Wayne have a decent scene where he interviews the young Bruce Wayne, and kind of connects with him and gets to talking to him, and that's all fine. I like that relationship, though it could be kind of problematic as far as overall story goes. But Harvey doesn't want to touch it because he's got informational connections to people in sort of the Gotham crime underbelly, and he doesn't want to know. He knows that the public pressure is going to be huge to get this case solved, but his connections aren't going to want him to solve it, and he knows that's going to put him in a very difficult place, but it's too late because Gordon has already interviewed a witness. They basically have the case. You've also got, I always think it's DiNozzo, because there are members of my family who are very much into NCIS, and when I'm thinking of crime dramas, I often revert back to that. The Hispanic woman in Special Investigations, I don't remember her name, but Special Investigations is also getting on the case. And there's I believe this is probably a character that's appeared in comics, but she's an underling to Falcone who runs a particular part of the city, and she's sort of deciding that, you know, she can run the show now. She's getting very, very confident in her own ability to do that. She's an okay villain. Judging from the first episode, she's all right. She's kind of that. She's a delightful balance of powerful and unhinged. And that, you know, you get the feeling that she's clawed her way to this position, and she will continue to claw her way as high as she can go. And that's decent. That's a decent trait for a villain. So many cameos by people that we know, wink wink, are going to be villains in the future. But one thing, there was one, and this is only my theory, but I'm fairly confident in it. Carmine Falcone's underling, who seems to be being built up as the main villain of the show, or at least of the opening arc, she was sitting in her club and she was listening to this comedian he was nervous because he's trying to entertain a mob boss who could have him killed, but he tells this really morbid joke about, you know, I hope I die peacefully in my sleep like my grandfather, not screaming like the 12 other people in his car. And I feel like this was given too much screen time for this guy to just be a throwaway character. So what I'm hoping for is that this guy will be the Joker, but, and this is a big but, he is never directly addressed. I would be really, really pleased with this show if what they did was have this unnamed, sort of unnoticed comedian kind of just in the background of events throughout the show. And, you know, maybe in like the finale, or maybe sometime way down the road, you can sort of point to this guy, or maybe show him as like the early Joker, because this isn't, you know, this isn't the same universe. I mean, it's trying to be very similar to the universe of the Nolan trilogy, but there are very notable differences. And that's probably the biggest plus I can give to the show, is that it doesn't feel the need to be... It doesn't feel the need to always be serious and gritty. There are some cartoony elements, most notably Oswald Cobblepot, or the Penguin. He would never... I don't think he would fly in the Nolan movies. I think he would be too cartoonish of a villain. You see Edward Nygma. He works for Gotham PD, and he's always trying to give the information in riddles. And everyone's like, Nygma, just tell us, come on. And I think that would have been a little too cartoony for the Nolan trilogy. And there was one part where Gordon and Harvey are being hung upside down in this butcher's freezer because they're going to get axed off by the mob, and this guy comes out in like a stereotypic medieval executioner's hood with a black studded like butcher's apron and a cleaver, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Oh my goodness! But it was fun. That was you know, cartoony, and fun was something that the Nolan trilogy, especially Dark Knight Rises, was really, really lacking in. But yeah, they're willing to play up the fact that this is a cartoon universe. Some things I disliked about it. The main thing I disliked was that it's one of those shows that has to have the characters do really stupid things to advance the plot. They think, to give away no spoilers, they think they found the guy who killed Thomas and Martha Wayne, but Gordon finds out that it was a frame-up, and he tries to get Harvey to continue the investigation, but Harvey's like, the case is closed, everyone's satisfied, leave it alone. So instead of going to like his boss or the next higher-up person, Gordon decides to go to the crazy mobster lady alone, without telling anyone where he's going, to confront her in her own territory about framing the guy. That is dumb. I'm sorry, that is just a dumb move. And for someone who's supposed to be this badass, by-the-books cop, it's really inexcusable that he would do something that blatantly stupid. Another thing I don't particularly like is how they kind of seem to wanted to force every recognizable Batman name they could into this episode, whether or not it was warranted. Like, they go to this guy's apartment, and he's clearly like an abusive. He's clearly a domestic abuse violator, and his daughter is named Ivy, and of course she is just surrounded by plants the entire scene. And that subtlety, guys. I mean, if you spell subtle in gigantic capital letters. But, you could have had her just, like, off in a corner with one potted plant. Maybe that's just her thing, and that calms her down. You don't have to surround her with plants and ivy. And yes, it's poison ivy, we get it. My goodness. Another thing is Catwoman appears. She doesn't do anything, and I guess she's supposed to be like a mid-teenager. Mid to late teens by the look. She looks like she's about 20, but she just kind of appears, like everyone will leave a scene, and then it'll cut to, oh man, Catwoman was there watching from on top of a building or something. Okay, well, why are you here? And that's something that's probably going to be explained later. I just don't see why she had to show up so often right now. And I mentioned earlier that the Gordon-Bruce Wayne relationship is going to be problematic, and I get why they're doing it, because it's supposed to be a show in the Batman universe. You want to have Bruce Wayne. You have an opportunity to show the child Bruce Wayne directly after the death of Thomas and Martha. And the only way as screenwriters to keep giving him time on screen is to give him a lot of interactions with Commissioner Gordon, or Officer Gordon in this case. The issue comes from the fact that in the preview for the next episode, it shows Alfred talking to Gordon, being like, Bruce respects you, you need to talk to him, he's going to get himself hurt, because Bruce has decided that he is going to train himself to overcome fear. He's on the roof of Wayne Manor trying to get over his fear of heights. In the preview, he's like holding his hand closer and closer to a candle to see how much he can take the burn. And Gordon's like, you're killing yourself. He's like, no, I'm testing myself. And the problem with having Gordon and Bruce Wayne have this almost father-son relationship is that it makes it a lot harder to believe that down the line Gordon won't know that Bruce Wayne is Batman. It makes it hard to believe that he couldn't piece that together, and maybe in this universe Gordon is totally aware that Bruce Wayne's Batman. Maybe that's what they're going for here, and I don't know. I can just see that being problematic later in the storyline. But this is a pilot. This is just the opening episode of the series, so I can't judge too much, because I can say, well, this was terrible, this was terrible, this was stupid, and it might come back later and it might fit into something bigger. So it's hard to say at this point, but one other thing that gets really annoying: they don't know how to do a transition without a sweeping shot of this clearly CGI city. Like, if you want to make a Gotham drinking game, I will make it for you right now. Take a shot every time they do a sweeping transition with a CGI model of a city. Have an ambulance ready. You'll probably be dead by the end of the hour. But again, it's too early for me to say this series sucks or doesn't. If you like crime dramas like NCIS or CSI, this isn't quite like that. It's more of an overarching storyline rather than a criminal of the week. But if you're a fan of the Batman universe and you don't mind having all of the subtlety of a blunt axe, it looks like it could be fun. It could be a fun show, if nothing else. So if you're a Batman fan or if you're a drama fan, give it a shot. is bottom line what I'm going to say here. I've been wearing this Taco Tuesday shirt a lot lately, but who cares? So yeah, if you think it's something that you'd be into, check it out.